Let's delve into the staggering gulf between regular worker pay and CEO pay.
Imagine earning a year's salary in just one day. Sounds surreal, doesn't it? Yet, in the world of corporate giants, this is not only real but normal. The Economic Policy Institute reports that the average CEO, the captain of the industry, earns a staggering 344 times more than the typical worker. This means that by the close of the first workday of the year, a CEO has already earned an average worker's annual salary. To illustrate, if an average worker is a small boat, the CEO's income is a colossal cruise ship. Does the average CEO work 13,700 hours per week? That would be physically impossible, as a week only has 168 hours. Do they provide 6 years of value per week? It's hard to quantify value, but it seems unlikely. The disparity is not just shocking, it's mind-boggling. It's important to also note that this pay gap is a relatively new phenomenon. In the 1960s, the ratio was closer to 20-1, according to the EPI. This all begs the question, how did we get here? And should we cap CEO pay? As we delve into this, brace yourself for an exploration of the corporate world's most shocking pay gap. Are you curious about how we ended up with such a gargantuan wage gap? Let's journey back a few years. To paint a picture, a couple of decades ago, the salary divide between CEOs and their employees was much narrower than today's figures. Yes, the difference was still significant, but it did not reach the astronomical levels we today. So, what led to this exponential growth? Several factors played into the swelling of this inequality. Well, let's dissect this issue, starting with deregulation. With governments across the globe slackening control over businesses, an Economic Policy Institute report points out that CEOs were handed a disproportionate amount of power, resulting in heftier paychecks. This deregulation effect was instrumental in the escalation of CEO pay. Next, let's consider globalization. As companies commenced their expansion into international markets, the position of the CEO morphed into a considerably more role. According to the same EPI study, this argument of increased complexity was widely used to advocate for the inflating CEO salaries. Furthermore, we cannot overlook the rise of the financial sector. Wall Street's prosperity meant a direct spike in the compensation of its top executives. This wave of wealth did not stay confined to Wall Street but spread, hiking salaries on a broad scale and intensifying the economic divide between the affluent and the rest. Despite all these factors at play, one glaring fact stands out. While CEO salaries were catapulting, the wages of the average worker stagnated, barely matching the rate of inflation. This concoction of static pay at the bottom and soaring wealth at the top has resulted in a gaping wage gap, a disparity with severe repercussions. It gives birth to a society where a nominal group of people hold an excessive share of wealth and power. It breeds a culture of inequality, where the labor, the masses, serves to fatten the pockets of the few. Consequently, the gap has only continued to broaden. And today, we find ourselves in a reality where the income of an ordinary worker is dwarfed by a CEO's remuneration. A stark reality indeed, isn't it? Maybe it's about time we ponder upon this. Is this the society we aspire to be a part of? Regular employees have caps and government employees have caps. Why can't executives have a pay cap? An intriguing question that has been a source of debate. According to a recent publication by the Economic Policy Institute, a pay cap for executives, akin to the ones placed on regular and government employees, could potentially be the answer to the increasing wage gap. Why should those at the pinnacle of corporate hierarchy be exempt? The classic argument we often hear is that businesses compete for the best talent, thereby justifying the skyrocketing CEO pays. But isn't this argument incomplete? After all, those in the trenches getting their hands dirty aren't the executives. They are the regular employees, the unsung heroes of successful operations. They are the ones who deserve competitive compensation. The EPI article presents some potential benefits of an executive pay cap. It could potentially reduce the income disparity, making the corporate world more equitable, but there are potential drawbacks too. Critics argue that a pay cap could deter top talent, stifling innovation and competitiveness in the market. The question then becomes, could a pay cap for executives be the solution to this stark wage disparity? Or would it do more harm than good? It's a complex issue, one that merits a thorough exploration. Drawing from the arguments presented by the Economic Policy Institute and others, let's continue to question, to debate, and to seek fairness in our corporate world. We have navigated through the startling wage gap and contemplated potential solutions. Consider this: according to the Economic Policy Institute, the CEO to worker compensation ratio was 21:1 in 1965 and has dramatically risen to 320:1 in 2019. Are CEOs truly delivering work worth 320 times that of a typical employee each week? We've delved into the origins of this wage disparity, questioning there is a necessity to limit CEO remuneration, just as we do for regular and governmental workers. However, let's examine the common counter-argument. Businesses must vie for top-tier executives. But isn't it strange when those delivering real value are not the ones perched up in the executive suite? Now, here's the crucial part. We've instigated a dialogue this. The EPI discusses how CEO pay has grown 1,007.5% since 1978, while typical worker pay has only risen 11.9%. These numbers force us to critically think about these issues. We've taken the initial steps towards change. In itself is a significant stride. Thank you for partaking in this illuminating discourse. For more eye-opening content, subscribe and explore our other videos. Remember, a conversation is the starting point of change.